Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. It's an absolute pleasure to join you for this very special event, the official launch of What Space Got to Do with It? 10 Life Lessons for Personal Growth. My name is Shelley Brunswick, and I'm honored to join you as the host for today as we embark on a journey filled with inspiration, innovation, and actionable insights. This book has been a passion project inspired by my 35-year journey in the space industry and the incredible interviews I've had with over 200 global thought leaders. What Space Got to Do with It connects the principles of space exploration, like courage, resilience, and innovation, to everyday leadership and personal growth. These are not abstract ideas. They're transformative lessons that anyone can apply to create a change, a meaningful change in their lives and careers. Today's webinar is more than just a book launch. It's an opportunity to hear directly from extraordinary leaders featured in the book. Each of them brings a unique story and perspective that amplifies the book's core message. Together, we'll explore how embracing opportunities, positioning yourself for success, and mastering the virtues of passion, perseverance, and patience can propel you to new heights. These lessons are as relevant here on Earth as they are in the cosmos. During this webinar, you'll hear powerful stories, actionable advice, and reflections from our speakers as they highlight key lessons from 3 chapters in the book. I'll guide the discussion, pose questions to our speakers, and ensure we leave some extra time for Q&A. I'll close with a few key takeaways that you can jot down. I also encourage you to be fully present during the session. Take notes, reflect on the insights, and share your thoughts on social media using the hashtag What Space Got to Do with It. Let's make this an interactive and engaging experience where we all leave feeling inspired and ready to take action. Now let's meet our incredible speakers. These remarkable individuals have graciously shared their wisdom and experiences in What Space Got to Do with It. Today, they'll bring those lessons to life and show us how to turn them into actionable strategies for success. So let's dive in. First, I'd love to introduce Her Excellency, Dr. Rosalia Arteaga Serrano. She made history as the first woman to serve as both Vice President and President of Ecuador. She's a distinguished leader in education and international cooperation, serving on multiple global organizations that are focused on empowering future generations. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us today. We'd love to hear a little bit more about your introduction.
Thank you, Shelley. Good evening for me. I'm very happy to be here, and I want to congratulate Shelley for the idea of this different launch of the book and the idea itself of the book, of having the book and involving some persons from different parts of the world and also from different professions. In my case, I'm a lawyer and I study also journalism and anthropology, and I dedicate most of my life to be an educator. I started when I was 17 years old, and it was amazing because I received the proposal from the dean, the director of the school, and it was amazing. But it involves me and make me convinced about the importance and the power of education, of quality education. Then I dedicate most of my life to education. I am surrounded by books, as you can see, because I am also an author. I write books, poetry and books for kids and teenagers. And I am also, I have a lot of compromise with environmental issues. I had the opportunity to serve plus participate in political efforts in my country. I also was the General Secretary of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization with headquarters in Brazil, taking care of the Amazon jungle during for almost 4 years. And also I had the opportunity to serve as member of the board of the Library of Alexandria in Egypt, and also the Encyclopedia Britannica and the editorial board. And I am absolutely convinced about as I said, the power of education and how we can handle it in, especially in countries like Latin American countries and all over the world, because we need also a compromise with human beings, with human efforts to make it a better world. Because if we see around the world what's happening nowadays, we feel that these special situations in different countries are against of what we want to have a good quality of life, possibility to grow, to share, to be respectful to the other ideas and thoughts. And well, that's some of the interests that I managed during my life, and I hope to develop a little bit more in the second part of this session.
Well, thank you, Your Excellency. We're so excited to hear more about what you're doing and the initiatives you have. Next, I'd like to introduce Sandy Carter. She's a pioneering technology executive who has held leadership roles at Amazon Web Services and IBM. She contributes to groundbreaking innovation in AI and cloud computing. She's an advocate for leadership and innovation, and also the author of multiple books and a mentor shaping the future of space and technology startups. Sandy, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Please share a little bit more about your intro with us.
Well, first of all, thank you, Shelley. Thank you for having me on this, but more importantly, thank you for having me in your amazing book, which everybody on this call, on this webinar should definitely go and grab, because there are some great lessons in here. And it's such an honor to be on with Her Excellency as well as Lumbia. I feel, I almost feel like imposter syndrome being on here with you two incredible young women. I am a technologist by heart. I'm a geek girl. As Shelley said, I actually started out wanting to be an astronaut, wanting to go to the moon, and ended up at Amazon, where I helped one of our partners really orchestrate rover with AI and robotics to get to Mars. So I didn't make it myself, but I made it in another way. I'm thrilled to be here because throughout my career of working with major tech companies and startups like the startup I'm with right now, which is a unicorn, I've loved to see the transition of emerging tech, the power that we all can bring to technology, but in particular, the power that women bring with the special degree of empathy and collaboration, and how much that can help accelerate innovation and accelerate success of projects. So, Shelley, I can't wait to get into the full discussion, but I love being here to, share some of those tech experiences. And as well, I've really been a contributor to young girls. I was on the board of Girls in Tech because I believe that our next generation is the future. We need to encourage them and help them to take that next step into technology as well. We all know with AI happening upon us right now, that everything's going to change, and we all need to be lovers of change. And we all have to be technologists to some extent to understand what's going on. So thanks for this privilege for being here. And I can't wait for the next sessions.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. And next we have Lumbi Malambo. She's passionate advocate for global access to clean water and the founder of JB Dundalo, a nonprofit dedicated to improving sanitation and hygiene in underserved communities. With projects like installing water filtration systems, one that is serving over 20,000 people in Zimbabwe alone, she exemplifies how resilience and commitment can transform lives and empower future generations. Lumbi, we're so excited to learn a little bit more about your introduction.
Wow. Thank you so much, Shirley, for having me on here. And thank you for including me in this book. I feel so very honored to share this stage with, Her Excellency Rosalia and Sandy. I just feel very, very privileged and very humbled, and I'm very grateful. Um, just to share a little bit about myself. Well, first of all, I have to say that as a mother of two incredible boys and as an entrepreneur, I am deeply passionate about empowering women and addressing the challenges faced by underserved communities. I truly believe everyone, and I mean everyone, deserves a fair access to opportunities that uplift their lives, opportunities that, so many take for granted. That belief is what led me to found JB Dondolo, a nonprofit committed to breaking down barriers to clean water and sanitation and hygiene in impoverished communities. Our focus is on women and girls, the backbone of the communities, who often walk like miles, up to like 18 miles a day, collecting water. By addressing this issue, we are not only providing clean water, but we're also providing, reducing poverty, promoting gender equity, and changing lives. So JB Dondolo was founded in 2012, inspired by the remarkable journey of my late father, JB Dondolo. He was an orphan who never had a chance to go to school, but that didn't stop him. It didn't stop him from becoming this respected person, a humanitarian advocate, and a farmer. His commitment to fight poverty and uplift the community has shaped just about everything and who I am today. My mother, an educator, further instilled in me the power of knowledge and, giving back. So today, I stand here as an impact entrepreneur, proud to continue my father and my mother's legacy through clean water initiatives by championing women and girls. This journey is personal to me, but it's also bigger than me. It's about creating that lasting change for generations to come. So again, I'm so grateful and I look forward to today be with you all. Thank you so much, Shirley.
Well, thank you so much, Lumbi. We're so excited to have you with us. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Iroka Chidima Joy. She's an assistant director at Nigeria's National Space Research and Development Agency. And she's a trailblazer in satellite technology, contributing to the design and launch of Nigeria's various satellites. As a passionate advocate for STEM education, she co-founded Women in Aerospace Nigeria to inspire and empower the next generation of female space leaders in Africa. Dr. Chidima, we would love to hear a little bit more about your introduction because I know you through ANUSA Space for Women, but I know you have so many other things you're passionate about.
She's on mute.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Chidima, can you unmute?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Shelley, and good morning, everyone from Nigeria. I sincerely appreciate this opportunity to be here this morning, and thank you. Just like you rightly said, I'm Dr. Chidima Iroka. I am an assistant director and also the head of satellite and navigation systems division in the Engineering and Space Systems Division of National Space and Research Development Agency in Nigeria. That's the Nigerian Space Agency. I was one of the ladies that participated in the building, testing and the launch of the Nigerian satellites, Nigerian Sat-2 and Nigerian Sat-X in the year 2008, 2009, 2010, and was finally launched in 2011. So after my participation in the satellites, I started making researches in the communication and Earth observation satellites. And then I had this passion, I have this story because I don't know if I should continue, Shelley, to tell my story because I had the journey that brought me into the space industry. I always tell people that is divine. And since I was a kid, I had always, been fascinated or had this fascination for gadgets, games, and technology generally. So I have always liked drawing, I draw very well. If you see me draw, you will think maybe I am an artist, but I draw very well. So I knew I had this talent with skills, for crafts. So with all this passion, I began to ask my elder ones, how to project, how to profit from these great talents. I wrote entrance and then I gained admission into the polytechnic. We have polytechnic and university in Nigeria. That was how I studied electrical and electronics engineering. And then after that, I did my youth service. After my youth service, I went into my first job was in NIPOST in engineering and technical services of NIPOST. And from there, I dived into NASDAQ when I passed their exam. But there's something that I always like to talk about, you know,
Mm.
the passion that I have with young people. Because when I was in high school, I was a kind of victimized because I was not given an opportunity. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
good. Yeah, I can. I can. So
And
when I was
and
in the
I
high
was going to share
school,
with you, we are going to have an opportunity for you to share more about your journey in just a minute.
okay.
Do you want to keep going, or we can come back when we open up your chapter for chapter one?
Oh, that's a good one. But I would like to say that is a good one. Is a good one. No problem. Yes. I want to say that I am a UNOSA Space ambassador and mentor. I I support some organizations doing STEM education in Nigeria and Africa. And then I am a co-founder of the Women in Aerospace Nigeria and then Africa. And I have interest in, you know, encouraging young girls to venture into STEM education and space science and technology. Maybe I will tell my story later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Iroka. And we'll come back to you
Yeah,
shortly to hear more about your amazing story. And as you shared, I know you through a NUSA Space for Women, and I know that's an amazing interconnection
yeah.
of fabulous women like yourself. So thank you. What I'd like
Thank
to
you.
do now is focus on the various chapters and the individuals highlighted in those chapters. In the vast cosmos of our lives, opportunities are like rare celestial events, fleeting yet transformative. Chapter one delves into the art of recognizing and seizing these moments, turning them into powerful catalysts for personal growth and career advancement. It explores how courage, preparation, and a proactive mindset can help us embrace disruption and uncertainty, transforming challenges into launch pads for success. By sharing stories of individuals who turned everyday moments into extraordinary opportunities, this chapter invites us to see each day as a chance to take bold steps towards our aspirations. One of these incredible individuals is Her Excellency Dr. Rosalia, whose remarkable journey exemplifies the essence of this chapter. From being Ecuador's first female president to championing global education initiatives, Dr. Ortega's story demonstrates the transformative power of resilience and readiness to embrace the unknown. Today, we're honored to hear her story about her amazing journey. Dr. Ortega, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Shelley. Well, when I was a small kid, I never imagined that my life would be so full of things and tasks. When I was very young, I was thinking that probably I will dedicate to writing. That was one of my passions. But after when I decided to accept to be a teacher, it was complementary with some ideas of writing for a newspaper. I started when I was also 17. And after I also combined it with my studies of law and start to having a family. I am a mother of three. I was mother of four. I lose my second baby when he was very young, and he was a Down syndrome kid. It was probably a big situation the biggest situation that I had and my family had in life when my father was a pediatrician he talked to me and said that my second kid was a Down syndrome. Geronimo was his name. And I was feeling to dedicate my life to him when suddenly he was sick and passed away when he was 10 months. I was thinking that my life goes to an end. But at that time, I was feeling that I have another kid and some other coming because I was pregnant of my third kid, Manuela. Well, it was probably the biggest lesson that I have in life, and the possibility to be resilient and to work hard to open minds. I wrote a book about my kid. The name of the book is Geronimo, and the idea was to show the parents of Down syndrome kids that they are beautiful, that they are fantastic, that they are human beings. It was long, long time ago, and at that time, having a kid with Down syndrome was almost like a sin in my country, in my society. It was like more than 40 years ago. But the book, I am absolutely sure that helped a lot to the families and also help still to the young students that read my books in schools, in high schools, still now. And I continue my journey. I learned since the beginning that I have to be multitasking, like most of us, doing a lot of things at the same time and trying to do it well. I remember myself being a mom, being a politician, being a writer, being a journalist, being a teacher, all at the same time, and trying to be also a good daughter, because even now I have my parents alive. Nowadays, I have 7 grandkids, and I try to share with them some activities. Recently, I visited 3 of them in Australia because my daughter lives there. She's a diplomatic, but also I try to share with my family without leaving. And that's one thing that I want to transmit to young generation of women, because a lot of them now resign to be moms, resign to have a family, resign to be happy and only dedicate to career. And that is very important. We must be passionate about what we do, our career, what we want to do, but almost we can have a family, we can have uh, fantastic experiences in life. We don't have to resign anything. We must have everything that we want and we deserve. And that's the first lesson that I want to share with you. Of course, being in politics, it was something that I feel that life is a kind of puzzle. Sometimes you put the pieces, sometimes others help to put the pieces in this big puzzle that is life, everyone's life. And of course, I try to do my best. I started being undersecretary. Well, I was also consul woman in my own city in the south part of Ecuador. Cuenca is a beautiful city in the almost in the border with Peru. And being Undersecretary of Culture was part of my life because I was writing and very interested in cultural efforts. And after being a Minister of Education, the first female Minister of Education, Culture and Sports, and then Vice President and President. When I was President, I suffered a coup d'etat. And it was the second, I think, moment that I must recreate myself, try to be a person that can be a role model for women trying to go into politics, being a person not tempted by corruption, like unfortunately in politics in my country and several countries is a big problem with corruption in political sphere. And also dedicating my time, like now I am, to my foundation, Fidal Foundation, dedicated to teachers, to STEM projects with the girls and boys, and also building a new museum, the first eco museum and library of my country, and dedicated to several boards. Now, the beginning of this year, I accepted to be member of Water Keepers, being the ambassador for the Latin American region, and this is a task that I am announcing here. And also being part of universities. I am the president of a Spanish university in Ecuador, UNIR University, and I'm part of the board of other universities, including in an advisory board of University of Miami, and also working, not letting behind anything, working probably more than other people, sleeping less, but writing, reading, traveling, participating in several efforts. The idea is that we women, we sometimes need to demonstrate more because in the past, women were not allowed to be part of. But in other sense, I recommend also to live the life and enjoy it in these several parameters that we have in front of us. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ortega. Your journey is a testament to the power of embracing opportunities and overcoming challenges with courage and resilience. What advice would you give to an individual seeking to recognize and act on pivotal opportunities in their own lives, especially when they may feel that they're faced with uncertainty or resistance?
Yeah, I think we have to be prepared, especially women. We have to demonstrate that we are prepared, that it's not only, I think that by law, like in Ecuador, for example, nowadays in politics, it's 50-50. And you have a candidate for presidency, it has to be a candidate for vice presidency and things like that. But probably in my times, it was never like that. But I think we must be prepared. Second, we have to be resistant and permanent in our desires with the conviction that we can do it. And the other is to have self-esteem and to cultivate self-esteem, because we are not less than anybody. We want to do things to modify the world, to make it better for the other person. Then those are my kind of advices. And of course, feel that we can make the difference. We can make the difference always.
That's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Ortega. Now let's continue exploring the powerful lessons of Chapter 1 with another inspiring leader who embodies the essence of seizing cosmic opportunities. Dr. Iroka has made incredible contributions to satellite technology as the Assistant Director at Nigeria's National Space Research and Development Agency. Her journey, marked by commitment to education, innovation, and empowering the next generation, highlights how embracing opportunities can lead to transformative impacts. Dr. Iroka, we're so thrilled to have you with us. Please share more about your story and your journey.
Thank you very much, Shelley. I was trying to tell some of my stories, but let me come from the perspective of the myths. I'm coming from the Africa background. One of the major drawbacks girls have to reaching their full potential in STEM education is the widely held but very false beliefs and ideas. That's the myths people around them tell. Also, the challenges that come from the desire to stand against the norm and seek to be more usually weigh the girls down. It weighs the girls down. These myths are baseless, and these challenges do not have as much power as they seem to have. And I would seek to make this clear by discussing two dominant myths. One, I come from a country where girls, are not encouraged to study STEM courses, especially engineering, because it is perceived that it's a male-dominated course and as such involves a lot of technical skills. And in a math or physics class, the females sleep with the lecturers to pass while the guys are the men, students. This alone makes it difficult for the female folks to go into such courses. Do you know why? It is because the society would automatically see them in a negative light. If Nigeria was to be running engineering courses the way it should, like a hands-on practical approach, it would have been easier for the girls to venture into studying STEM and related courses because they believe in and do very well in what they see. So I would say that there is little attraction in STEM for girls. So again, there are no helpful strategies to boost the interest of these girls from their teachers at school, families at home. Recently, in the course of my awareness creation in some secondary schools, the way we call it in Nigeria, high school in Abuja, Nigeria, I came across some girls that have not heard anything about space technology, let alone the entrance courses, to be admitted into for the course. This informed me that there is a lot of work to be done in Nigeria and Africa at large. This made me to ask questions in class about those that would want to go into studying science and engineering. And their response was quite discouraging. It was quite discouraging as not more than 25% of the girls did raise their hands. I began to wonder why. Some of the girls gave this myth as their reason. A girl stood up and told me that my mother said that engineering is not for girls. And you can imagine when a girl has such, such thoughts, it will really discourage her from going far. So having few girls in a class dominated by boys, the level of exposure will increase negatively. She also said that girls that make their career in engineering hardly keep their homes in marriage, as their level of exposure would make them challenge their spouses. This is Africa. And one thing about Africa is that marriage is like a hallmark, the best thing that can happen to somebody in life. So when the lady said that, she was like, you hardly get a job that will, help you take care of your personal needs when you study engineering. The girls in engineering classes tend to be molested by their male teachers and even their colleagues. And so many, things that they talk about. We have other factors like the social culture and religion. But from my own experience, I would say that their mothers are not far from the truth. In Nigeria and other developing countries, we have NGOs that promote STEM education, but a lot of them do it for their own benefit without truly, caring about the situation on ground. You understand? They don't care about the situation on ground. What they just want is to benefit from, getting the money, getting just to acquire wealth from the process. So they have no real desire to acquire the expertise required to tackle the problem. Most of them lack an action or activity roadmap, and there's no true measurable performance review based on funds generated for their, for their operation. So is a very big problem. And this that we have perceived that STEM is a masculine field or career, when in a class workshop, the teacher would always prefer the boys to do the hands-on practical experiments and write reports as well, while the girls will only be there to as spectators. I was a victim. I used to tell people that I was a victim, not until one day While I was watching the boys interchange in each practical section at the workshop, I burst into tears. My teacher walked up to me and asked me why I was crying. I told him I can do all this as well. Fortunately, I was given an opportunity to try, and surprisingly, I did well as the boys. To be frank, from that day up until now, my confidence was boosted and I became an encouragement to other girls in class. Let me tell us one story. Recently, I went to the market and a woman approached me. She just walked up to me and was like, "Are you Dr. Irok?" I said, "Yes." I never knew her from anywhere. "Are you Dr. Irok?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, my daughter was just pointing at you now that you never gave her an opportunity when you came for a program in their school." I was like, "Oh my God, where is she?" You know, the girl was about 12 years, and she was not really, confident to come to me. She wasn't bold. But I went, I hugged her. I was like, "What happened? You didn't approach me and you don't want to." He said, "Doc, you didn't give me an opportunity to try. I had so many things I would have discussed with you. I had so many things I would have done, but there wasn't an opportunity." That reminded me of what happened to me. So I was so much, I felt for the young girl, and then I said, "No, I must work with you this year, 2025." So this has really, encouraged me. And anywhere I go to, I always like to give people opportunity. I always like to make them try. I always want to make sure that they participate in one thing or the other. Do you know that in my office where I currently work, I I have just few people. I have few ladies. In fact, just two or three people that work with me as ladies in the engineering department. So one day I was just looking at myself and what I've, you know, achieved in life. I told myself that we need to increase the opportunity of mentorship in Nigeria and Africa at large. Yeah, because so many people lack mentors. They don't have anyone to guide them. They don't have anything, to follow. Like me, my father was my mentor. He wasn't that much educated, but he was always asking me to go to the library to read. And it was in the course of going to this library that I stumped into, some educational materials that helped me to, inform my decisions into going into space technology. So what I'm trying to say is that even being part of a national assignment to build the space satellites, I am so happy, and I use it to encourage young girls that even though it's assumed that it's not a female course, it's not a female field, I did it. I'm married. I'm still in marriage. I have three children, three beautiful children, two girls and a boy, and they are doing well. I'm doing well in my program. And recently, I just returned from Egypt, where I went for a program, you know, I think, Shelley, you are aware of the ASFAB, the African Strategy for Physics. It gives me so much joy when I go to share my experience with people, and then tell them that if someone like me did all the mathematics, because my PhD was in engineering too, I hadn't much facilities for hands-on in Nigeria, but I was still able to do it. So that's why I have this passion to reach out to young people to tell them that this is something that is very, very interesting. STEM education is interesting, engineering is interesting, encouraging young people is very interesting. And then being part of mentorship is very interesting. And I once told my boss, our Director General and CEO of my agency, National Space Research and Development Agency, to to encourage the senior officers in the agency to start mentoring people. Take like 2 or 3 people that you will review their work, review what they do, and then let them venture into something that will help them in life. So by so doing, we will achieve much. So thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to, work with some other people that are here to make the world, to change the world, and especially the young girls and the women that are also that are already in the space science and technology career, or even in the STEM career. There are some women that are in the STEM career that their voices are not heard. They are still hiding. They don't want to open up. They don't want to come out. They don't want the visibility because of what people will say. But through what you are doing and what um, other people have in mind to do, we will get to, bringing them out and then teaching them on how to be confident, in what they do. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Iroka. I mean, amazing
Yeah.
insights and sharing the perspective of young girls. If we really want to
Mm.
reach young girls and create pathways, we have to really understand the challenges. It's not just say pursue a STEM degree, go into space. There's other challenges, cultural, that we have to look at.
Mm.
What strategies or mindset shift would you recommend for those looking to make meaningful contributions, whether in space or STEM or in Africa or other communities? What mind shifts do we have to make to allow that to happen?
Okay, what I always tell people is to believe in yourself first. You have to believe in yourself. Tell yourself, I can do it. Because I could remember before I burst into tears during my college, I had already made up my mind that I can do this and I know it. So the first strategy is to believe in yourself and then walk up to someone that has done it before. Let the person, mentor you, because we lack it a lot in Africa. Let people mentor you. And then when they mentor you, try to practice what you have learned, and try to make sure that you don't keep it to yourself. Make sure that you give it to other people what you have learned. There's this there's something that we say in mentorship, training the trainers program. When you have been trained, you try to impart in other people. So those are the strategies. Make sure that you believe in yourself, you have confidence, then get a mentor. Make sure that you go and reach out to other people. Even when you're reaching out to other people, you find out that you'll be building more confidence in yourself, and so many other strategies. There's one lady that spoke in before that said she's a writer. Most times I tell people, whatever thing you feel, write it down. Write, have this writing culture. It helps a lot because most times you might forget. But when you write down some things, you look at it as your own experience and then use it to correct yourself and then teach other people. It helps a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Iroka. Amazing. And again, as I share, you and I met through the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs Space for Women program. We were both mentors, and that's how I met you. And I've learned so much from you. I met you in Dubai at the UN expert meeting. So thank you for helping to enlighten me and sharing your powerful story in the book. Next, I'd like to pivot to
Thank you.
chapter. Oh, you're very welcome. Next, I'd like to pivot to Chapter 8, Command Central, why the front row holds the keys to your launch. This chapter delves into the importance of positioning yourself for success, both literally and figuratively. Drawing parallels to a spacecraft's trajectory at launch, the chapter emphasizes how choosing the front row can lead to greater visibility, engagement, and opportunities. It's not just about where you sit, It's about adopting a proactive mindset that signals readiness, confidence, and commitment to lead. Our next speaker highlights all of these things, and I look forward to her sharing her story with you today. Sandy, we so look forward to hearing more about your journey with your amazing background in AI, cloud computing, and leadership. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. And wow, both of the stories we just heard were amazing. So hopefully I will give you other things to think about as well. So I'll start back when I was just a child. The great thing about my childhood was I had a very supportive mother and father. And in fact, my dad was a dreamer and he loved space. He bought me a telescope. We talked about going to the moon. He sent me to space camp. We had so many amazing experiences together. It turned out that life had different, I guess, paths for me to go down. But one of the lessons I learned early on was having a support structure, having a male ally, even if he is your dad, to encourage you and tell you that you can do everything. In fact, we used to go walking in the woods, and he would go, listen, listen, you hear the birds? And they were chirping all around. And he said, they're all cheering for you. That's why they're all chirping. And I believed that until I was like 11 years old. I thought every time I heard a bird, it was going, go, Sandy, go. What an amazing difference having those supporters can be for you in your life, and as they encourage you. So I had some things happen that diverted me away from space. Had some great role models in my life, but I also had some personal tragedies where I lost people due to health concerns. And so I turned my attention to being a doctor. That's what I wanted to be. I went to Duke University, which is an amazing university. And I studied chemistry and biology. And wouldn't you know it, life had another one of those pivots in store for me. It turns out that I am deathly allergic to half the chemicals that are in a doctor's office and in a hospital. Thankfully, I'd grown up pretty healthy, so I hadn't experienced it. But at Duke, and during our first little session, I passed out, literally passed out. This happened like 3 or 4 times. At first, they thought, oh, she hadn't eaten enough, or oh, she's not. And it turns out I went and got tested, and I was allergic to all those medicines. So here was something that I had dreamed about for 8 years. I had really focused on and thought this was it. You know, some people say you can't focus on your do, but your who, not just what you do, but who you are. And so I dove really deep. Luckily, I had a great advisor who was not only an advisor at the medical school, but was also an advisor at a newly formed computer science lab. And so this is my second big lesson in life, which is, you know, almost anything you do, you're going to have to pivot or something's going to change your course, and you just don't know what it is. So make sure that you love change. Make sure that you're looking at the bright side, the optimistic side, because there's always going to be something else that comes along. And sure enough, it was computer science. And I took artificial intelligence. So, you know, I won't tell you ladies how old I am, but let me just tell you, it was one of the first artificial intelligence classes that there were being taught. And with that class, I went on to do some amazing things with IBM and Watson, which is an AI program, or I guess I would say class of learning models that we used. I went on to AWS to do some amazing things with AI, closed one of our largest AI deals. And recently, just I guess I should say last year now, 2024, I was just named one of the top 10 AI entrepreneurs by Microsoft and MSN. So, you know, all of these things kind of came to fruition. I guess I would say one of the biggest learnings that I got was when I went to a session just to learn. I'm always curious. I always want to learn more. And when I walked in, I noticed that he was speaking. He was a great speaker. His name was Jeff Gittermore. He wrote the #1 best-selling business book of all time. Of all time. He wrote the Little Red Book of Sales. And I noticed no one was sitting at the front. So I went and sat in the front row. And as I was sitting there, I pull out my computer. He was saying so many great things. I was like tweeting and posting on LinkedIn and posting on Facebook. And the guy that came to sit beside me, he's like, he's going to think you're doing your mail. He is not going to like that. So as soon as he was done, the guy bolts because the speaker, Jeffrey Gittermore, hops down off the stage and really comes running up to me. He was like, you're in trouble. He's going to say, oh my God, you were doing your mail in the front row. But instead, what he said was, I want to thank you for being so engaged. Up on my screen as I'm speaking, I have a flag to show me people tweeting, people doing Facebook, Instagram, and it was you, and I knew it. So let me know if there's anything I can do for you. So for my first book, Mr. Gittermore actually wrote the foreword and sent my book out to everyone on his mailing list. It became a bestseller, all from sitting in the front row. So those are really my 3 lessons learned from this. One is always, embrace your male allies and your family. So important to you. Secondly, you're going to pivot. Like, even if you say, no, Sandy, I'll never pivot, you are going to pivot. Look at all these ladies who've told their stories. Every single one of them pivoted. And then finally, always sit in the front row. Always take that chance. Network, get to know people as well. Thanks, Shelley.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think it's amazing how many of you are talking about your fathers, because I know when we get to Lumbi, she's going to talk about hers as well. But Sandy, let me ask you about embracing that front row mentality. How can leaders today cultivate this mindset in their teams to encourage proactive engagement and innovation, especially in this fast evolving industry like technology and space?
Yeah, I think it's all about, your approach and what you're looking for. If you're going to go and sit in the front row, you're not going to go sit in the front row just to be noticed. You're going to sit in the front row to contribute. You're going to sit in the front row so you can engage. You're going to sit in the front row so you can make a difference, just like every single one of these women have. And you have too, Shelley. I mean, just like what you've done in space. So that mindset has to be a giving mindset. I want to give. I want to engage. I want to learn so that I can give back. One of my favorite mentors, his name was Ted Child. He was our first African American vice president at IBM, one of my dear mentors. And he always said to me, Sandy, life won't be worth living if you don't reach back and pull someone forward. And no matter what level you're at, you've always got to reach back and pull someone with you. And if everybody did that, imagine how many people would come forward. So I think embracing that sit in the front row has to come from a mindset of giving back, of wanting to help others, not me. And for me, that is the biggest mindset, which I think is so important today in today's AI world.
That's a fabulous example. I always like to highlight Grace Kelly as well. She used to say, after her acting career, she said, you have 2 hands. And she said this while she was doing philanthropic work. You have 2 hands, one to reach up and one to help others come with you. So I totally love what you shared. Now we're going to pivot into chapter 10, which is stellar virtues, harnessing passion, perseverance, and patience for galactic success. In this chapter, we explore these 3 guiding principles that are essential for overcoming challenges and achieving long-term success. Passion ignites our ambitions. Perseverance sustains our efforts through obstacles, and patience provides the wisdom to embrace the journey. One of the remarkable leaders featured in this chapter is Lumbi, whose story exemplifies the transformative power of these 3 stellar virtues. Lumbi, we're so excited to hear about your story, and I know from your story that it also includes your father, so I think it's incredible that so many people today have talked about male allies and their fathers. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Shirley. Oh, wow. Just hearing all these ladies, everybody that is spoken here is just so powerful and just so, I feel like right now, as Sandy, like you said, about sitting in the front row, I feel like I'm just sitting in the front row right now and really trying to absorb and engage so I can help more people. I kind of like that. So I feel like instead of being a speaker or being a presenter or doing something, I feel like I'm learning right now. So thank you all for sharing your powerful stories It's really, really amazing. So I want to share my journey, just as Shirley said. My journey has been a testament to the power of passion, perseverance, and patience. Being the youngest of 11 children, I experienced the childhood filled with lots of love growing up in Zimbabwe, in the rural parts of Zimbabwe. My mother, a beloved school teacher, was the greatest inspiration. A pivotal influence on my life was my father, like many of you. My father was an orphan who never went to school, but committed his humanitarian efforts to the community. I can say, inspired by his legacy, I embraced the mission to continue his work after he passed, focusing on providing clean water and sanitation to underserved communities, but specifically for women and girls. So my path was not without challenges, of course. I faced numerous obstacles, from bureaucratic hurdles to health crises. One significant health issue that I faced was a stroke that I suffered at a very young age while visiting my dad, who was critically ill in Zimbabwe. With limited medical resources available, the doctor gave me a slim chance of survival. And if I stayed there, even one day, I would have died. So the decision to travel to the US for treatment was a risky and difficult one. But my family's resilience and the support, all that saw me through the recovery. This near-death experience fueled with the determination to make a meaningful impact, realizing that my survival had given me a second chance to fulfill my purpose, which became so clear. My purpose was to use myself as an instrument to help people who are underserved, who are underprivileged, who can't otherwise help themselves, to give a voice to the voiceless. So my passion for improving the lives of women and girls through access to clean water led me to establish JB Dondolo nonprofit organization, named in honor of my father, JB Dondolo. We focus on removing barriers to clean water, sanitation, and hygiene in impoverished communities. One of our notable achievements includes installing a filtration water system that served over 20,000 people in Iguazu Community Clinic in Zimbabwe. This project provided essential clean water, restoring dignity in women, in girls, and improved the school attendance for girls who now attended school at a rate more than 90%, as well as reducing infant mortality from 35 a year to none. Significant rates. I can say that my perseverance shined it shined through in my continuous efforts to secure funding and support for my water projects. Despite facing criticism, and I mean criticism like and stereotypes about the misuse of funds in Africa, I can tell you I persisted. I leveraged small donations, grants, and innovation fundraisings, and grants and online auctions from our students. Students became very creative. They were so creative that they became artists. They will paint. They'll do anything just so they can auction that and raise funds for my projects. So that's how I financed my projects. My perseverance paid off when I received support from significant organizations like the Tony Elumelu Foundation in Africa, in Nigeria, and also Johnson & Johnson, which provided me mentorship, funding, and helped me to expand my impact. I can say that patience was critical, not just critical, it was a critical virtue in my journey. The process of establishing and growing a nonprofit, the organization itself, especially one focused on something so complex issues like clean water and sanitation, it really requires long-term commitment and the ability to navigate the setbacks. I can tell you that this process led to a remarkable patience in securing funding, building partnerships, implementation, and all types of things to make the water systems work. My work with the 100 Voices for a Planet initiative, which emphasizes sustainable living and environmental consciousness, highlights my understanding that lasting change takes time and takes a collective effort. You know, they say, empower a woman and she can change the world. I think that is true because that just happened to me. And I thank you, Shelley, and everybody for sharing your stories because you empower me.
Well, thank you, Lumbi. That's so incredible. Um, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about the 100 Voices of Our Planet because that is part of the UN mission, and you just submitted your year-end accountability report. And I think our audience would love to hear a little bit about more about your 100 Voices, as well as I know you are a convener for the UN General Assembly Science Summit, and I think those are two amazing things that highlight your perseverance, your passion, and your patience, and how those key elements are now coming to the forefront in your initiatives.
You know, you're very right, Shelley. And also just realizing that yourself, you're part of the 100 Voices for Our Planet. I really do want to highlight that, the initiative itself. So people always ask, what is the 100 Voices for Our Planet? You can say that we have as a voice for our planet, you are living a conscious life. You are eco-conscious about your surrounding, what you consume, what you throw away, everything around you matters because you want to protect the environment. So being a 100 voice for our planet, it means that you're doing everything right according to your standards to secure the planet, to keep it clean so that we don't destroy it and leave it, degrade it, so that, the next generations that come out, after us, they have a place to stay. So we're keeping the environment clean. So it could be through advocacy or through permaculture or through just anything that you do, like water, for example, is one of it, right? Because water is a climate issue. So it's people like that. So in order to lessen the devastation of the ecosystems brought on by a variety of man-made activities and those that are not man-made, of course, it is essential to conserve the environment. Protecting the environment is from pollution, for example, and other activities that cause environmental degradation is more of a moral imperative for humans. So the 100 Voices for Planet is really a global initiative open to all. By saying open to all, I really mean it that it's open to everyone because we want more people to participate with the goal of inspiring conscious living. Okay, so that's what it is. So right now we have 25 Voices for our Planet. We are trying to find 100 Voices for our Planet because we believe that each person becomes instrumental in the work that they'll teach others in their communities, that they'll amplify the voices and be a catalyst for change. They'll inspire their own 100 voices, their own 100 people to do something very positive in the environment. So that's what this is about. So the initiative itself is our initiative is aiming to gather 100 committed individuals. You have to commit to inspire others and scale the efforts within your community. So, and create that ripple effect. With regards to being a convener for the UN General Assembly, I became the convener the first time in 2023 for the Science Summit. We had so many topics to talk about, but pretty much that was going to feed to the Science for the Future, and also really kind of understand what is each person doing, because we know that science is powerful. There's a lot of things that can be achieved through science, because only through science we'll be able to do everything the right way and actually get to where we're going by 2030, maybe it's 2040. So we need to be able to measure that. So I became a convener, and this year as well, I am going to be a convener at the UN for the Science Summit. But also, let me be the first to announce here with you guys that I will also, convene our own session called the Voices for Our Planet, where the voices that we have right now that are within that 100 window are going to share their initiatives and really talk more, have a full day to share what they're doing and inspire others to follow. So that's all I have for now. Thank you so much, Shelley.
Well, thank you, Lumbi, for sharing. And this has just been an incredible and inspiring session. Today, we've explored transformative lessons from What Space Got to Do with It, 10 life lessons for personal growth, brought to life by these powerful stories of extraordinary speakers. From recognizing and seizing opportunities to embracing the front row mindset to mastering the stellar virtues of passion, perseverance, and patience. We've uncovered strategies that can propel us to greater heights, both personally and professionally. It's been a privilege to hear from leaders like Her Excellency Dr. Rosalia Ortega, Dr. Iroka Chidima, Sandy Carter, an amazing AI expert, and Lumbi Malambo, who's a champion for our planet, as well as for women and girls in underserved communities. Each of you amazing trailblazers has shown us what it means to rise above challenges, lead with intention, and create lasting impact. Your insights remind us that leadership is not about titles. It's about courage, visibility, and the persistence to go on. For our audience, as you reflect on today's powerful session, there are a few key takeaways that I hope resonated with each of you. First, we learned about the importance of recognizing and seizing those opportunities. These moments, often fleeting and unexpected, can have a profound and transform our lives and careers. You just have to have the courage to take them on. Next, we explored the concept of adopting a front row mindset. It's not about where you sit. It's about positioning yourself for success by being visible, engaged, and proactive. This mindset opens doors to new opportunities and ensures you're always ready to lead boldly. And finally, we discussed the stellar virtue of passion, perseverance, and patience. These three principles work together to fuel action, overcome obstacles, and sustain us on our journey towards lasting success. Whether you're facing challenges or pursuing ambitious goals, these virtues provide a powerful framework for global impact. As we wrap up, I encourage each of our audience members to get their copy of What Space Got to Do with It and reflect on those key insights from today's session, whether it's seizing that next big opportunity or stepping into the front row or embracing resilience and committing to putting it in action. And of course, the journey doesn't end here. If you get the book, it's a resource you'll be able to repeatedly return to over and over again. You can find it on Amazon. And we would love to hear your reflections and favorite takeaways on social media using hashtag What Space Got to Do with It. Thank you for being part of this celebration. Let's continue to embrace these lessons, lead with purpose, and inspire others to do the same. Until next time, I'm Shelley Brunswick, and I look forward to seeing you around the galaxy.
Thank you.